In this section, what we need to be able to do is calculate a p-value and a test statistic for a hypothesis test which compares the mean of two separate samples. Now, to find that function in the calculator, just go under the stat key and slide over to the tests submenu. It should be a little ways down, but not too far. It is 2SAMP t-test that we'll be using here. You might be in a class that an instructor requires you to choose between the use of 2SAMP z-test or 2SAMP t-test. And the difference is the z-test uses normal distributions to calculate the probabilities, and the t-test uses the student's t-distribution. I'll leave that up to you to talk to your instructor if that's the case for you, but both functions work in the same way, so I'm only going to demonstrate with t-test. Okay, when you go into this function, first off, there's two different modes that you can work with. So you can either input your sets of data from lists and then reference where those lists are located, either L1, L2, L3, and so forth. But most of the time, the problems you'll be doing will give you the statistics of two different samples to compare. So we'll switch into that mode first. And at this point, you can just start entering in the statistics of each sample. So the hypothetical problem here, let's say we have a sample which has a mean of 25.8, a standard deviation of 3.6, and let's suppose there are 85 items in that first sample. And then we're comparing that to another sample which has a mean of 24.6, a standard deviation of 2.1, and a sample size of 63. Now, the next item that it asks for is what type of test you would be using. So of course you would look in the alternative hypothesis and choose based off the symbol there. So the not equals represents a two-tailed test, less than is a left-tailed test, and greater than is a right-tailed test. I'll just leave it as a two-tailed test for this example. Then you're asked for this option pooled. So pooled is determining a method of calculating the number of degrees of freedom to use for the t-distribution calculation. So unless your instructor actually goes into instructions on how to determine that, just leave it as no. That's probably a safe bet. Or ask your instructor for further clarification in case you're uncertain. Then press calculate, and it will come up with the values that you need. So T is the test statistic that you might be requested to give. P is the p-value. You probably will be needing that for sure. DF is the number of degrees of freedom that it calculated, and then the rest of this information just repeats stuff that you have input. And you can scroll down to see a little bit more. But that's the basic operation there. If you were coming from a set of data rather than a set of statistics like we just did, the operation wouldn't be much different. Just change the input to data. What you would do is put your data into a list. So you have two samples to compare, so put one sample in L1, the other in L2, that's fine. Frequency lists are not common to use. If you don't have a set of frequencies for your lists, then just leave these set to 1. That just means each data item appears one time in the data set. And then the calculator knows that what it needs to do these operations are the mean, the standard deviation, and the sample size for each of these samples. So it's going to take that list and calculate those things and then do the calculations from there. So from that point, it would still need to know what type of test to use, whether you're pooling your degrees of freedom or not, and then that's it. Then you can press calculate and get your results. So that's how it would work.